I wanted to have a chat with the Mackellar MP, federal MP, Jason Falinski, on the show tonight. I'm delighted to say he's on the line. Jason, how are you?
Hey Luke, I'm really well. How are you?
I'm well. You haven't been too close to Barnaby Joyce in recent time. I'm hoping.
Well, mate, I've got one of these Simon Holmes Accord independents up here who claim that I'm too close to Barnaby, but no, I've kept my distance recently.
Very, very good. Just on those independents, and we note that I think it was a day or two ago they were saying that much of the fundraising's conducted by Simon Holmes Accord, who of course has been a long-time warrior on social media. We're just talking about that in favour of renewable energy and similar technologies, and it seems that he and fellow or like-minded souls have got together and want to make life difficult for those very good Liberal MPs who have once safe seats. Are you concerned?
Mate, look, every election is a contest. It should be a contest of ideas. It shouldn't be who's got more money than the other person. And the ideas that we should be focused on are the things that people care about. And, you know, people definitely care about getting to net zero. That's true. But they also care about jobs. They also care about their kids being able to afford a home. They also care about, you know, the national safety and security of our nation and our defence forces. And as I said, they also want to make sure that we protect and preserve our planet for future generations. It's not just about, you know, how much public subsidies we're giving to renewable energy companies.
Yeah, that is so true. Now, I don't live in Warringah, but I do watch a lot of politics. And it seems to me that the campaign was where Zali Steggall left her biggest mark because she won the seat. But as a member of not the government, of the crossbench for the last nearly 3 years, I wonder how effective she's actually been.
Well, mate, the truth is she hasn't been. And, I mean, people like Simon Holmes Accord say, Zali Steggall today did this. But she actually never achieved it. You know, the fact is that I feel like explaining to people like these people that the way that democracy works is that the majority rules. What the majority of people want is what you get. And you can't have, you know, individuals. You have to work as part of a team. And we kind of all learnt this in kindergarten in the sandpit, that you have to learn to work together to get things done. But it just seems that, you know, these days in modern politics, apparently, throwing tantrums and demanding that you get what you want at the cost of everyone else is what some people admire. I don't understand it.
I don't know what's more impressive, the fact that you worked sandpit into that answer or that you actually remember what you got up to in the sandpit. Mate, you know, 100 out of 10. If you were my local member, I'd be pre-polling you now. You know, you're my man. You know, the point you raise about single, and let's face it, they're single issue, and they do follow to some extent the Get Up model, and it's about creating some noise and a bit of a distraction, disruption, all that kind of gear. But you end up, as you say, with this distracting the governing party or a party of government from what they otherwise might be doing. Now, I wouldn't dare for a moment suggest that in a safe seat, you know, you wouldn't be firing all the strengths of the party out there to retain that seat. But generally, you'd probably, you know, be thinking, let's go for those marginal seats. We'll make sure we get the PM in one of those plenty of times, and perhaps he doesn't have to go to where Jason is or, even Dave Sharma. And that makes the whole job of getting re-elected difficult, doesn't it?
Oh, look, I mean, as I say, elections are not meant to be easy. They're meant to be hard. Governing Australia in the 21st century is not easy. We've got a whole bunch of challenges and they're complex and they're going to require the best efforts of a lot of good people working together. And that, I think, to your point, is absolutely right, Luke. This idea that if we just fix one thing, that'll fix all our problems is at best naive, but at worst is deceitful.
Yeah,
and the fact is, you know, these people are not independents. They're not disaffected Liberals. They're fake left-wing front groups that continue to hide behind, you know, a mirage of different names and different groups. And, there's that old saying, if you've got a lot of front groups, you've clearly got a lot of stuff to hide. And I think that's the big question that a lot of people have to ask themselves. Like, you know, look, all of these candidates that have announced, none of them have ever voted Liberal in their life, or they keep pointing to the one time that they accidentally did.
Yes.
And it's like, why not just be honest?
Yeah.
Why not just say, look, I tend to vote Labor, I tend to vote Green, I'm running as an independent this time.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you can't be honest enough with the community up front, then why should they trust you if you get elected to Parliament?
Yeah, so true. You mentioned housing affordability there a moment ago. I reckon, I could be wrong, but I reckon and this is just now, I think Australia-wide, we've confused all the different levels of the government. Now, I know the ALP's playing everything is ScoMo's fault, everything, probably including Barnaby's COVID-19 infection. And if it's not his fault, he's lied about it not being his fault, which I think is absolutely bloody appalling. But that's where the debate is now, and it is disgusting. But housing affordability is not just your problem or your government's problem. Councils have a role to play here. States have a role to play here. But you know, it's ended up in your inbox, hasn't it?
Right. I mean, the biggest thing that I chair an inquiry into this at the moment. We finished our public hearings and we're writing the report. And what we found is quite clearly this has a lot to do, or the majority of the issue, and this is through econometric modelling and proper studies, not just, you know, people walking around town going, oh, my brother went and got outbid on a house on the weekend, by an investor. It's all the problem of investors. This is actual statistical analysis, not anecdotal information. And what it comes down to is the fact that the planning systems are broken, and local governments are deliberately playing games. And the reason is that they get financially rewarded for it. So in New South Wales, they are collecting $98 billion more stamp duty in 2021 than they did in 2019.
God.
And the reason for that is because prices of houses have gone through the roof. And so they're incentivised to create a shortage in the market, to drive up prices so they collect more tax. And it's the same at the local government level. And until we fix that, and the cost of that is young Australians who can't actually buy into the Australian dream, like you did, like I did, like my parents did. And it's wrong. It's just wrong. You know, a cornerstone of Australia's settlement, our foundation, was that everyone could own their own home, because that's how we created a classless society. Yeah. You know, back in the 1900s, the aristocracy owned land and the working class didn't. And our founders said everyone should be able to we want a classless society where everyone owns a piece of Australia. And we don't, and we are taking that away bit by bit by bit, because, you know, you get more tax dollars if you do that. And Australia has more land than any other continent in the world outside the penguins of the South Pole. And we've got the highest average weekly earnings in the world, like literally the highest average weekly earnings in the world. Our minimum wage is 25% higher than the next highest minimum wage. And so we should have the cheapest housing in the world, not the most expensive. And Sydney's the third most expensive, Melbourne 6th, Brisbane 9, Adelaide 16, Perth 23. It's ridiculous, and it's a failure of government, nothing else.
Are you going away?
Over Christmas?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Port Macquarie, where my parents-in-law are from.
I'd like to have a further chat about this issue with you if you're available at some point.
They still have phones in Port Macquarie, so I'm very happy to call you from there.
You sure?
Yes, absolutely.
No, you'd know that. You can remember what you did in the sandpit. My God, why am I doubting you? Thanks, mate. Good to talk to you, Jason. Stay well.
Thanks, Luke. Really appreciate your time.
Not at all. We'll talk about the housing affordability again with Jason Falinski, who's the MP for Mackellar. Making an awful lot of sense there, I have to tell you.